In this video, I'll share with you how I'm using OneNote to help myself onboard to a new job quickly and effectively. After a decade in the beauty industry, I started a new career in the home improvement and interior design business. This means new products, new business model, new people, new processes, and new systems and new culture. The first few weeks of onboarding, as you can imagine, has been really tough, and I'm flooded with new information. So naturally, I'm using OneNote to organize this chaos into information that I can understand and build on. In this video, I'll be taking you through my personal process. While I am using OneNote for most of this, the method itself can be adapted to any tool you find comfortable. Okay, let's get started. I've split my notebook organization into three main areas: people, processes, and systems. In any organization, understanding who's who and building relationships is crucial. Investing in relationships early doesn't just make your work more enjoyable, but it really fuels your success. While individual efforts matter, collaborating and leveraging others' expertise can really amplify your impact on the business. So in my OneNote notebook, I have this section created for people. As I meet with different people within the organization, I capture notes about them, their personal tidbits, what city they call home, their favorite hobbies, and their tenure with the company. So this is an example of information that I took from a group introduction meeting. So it's very simple and basic. These small details paint a human picture, and of course I respect their boundaries and only know what they're freely willing to share. I like to establish this personal connection before we get into business and knowing their work identities. I think having this human connection helps foster stronger relationships and smoother collaboration. One tip, I find that in introduction meetings, using a laptop might break the personal connection because you're hiding behind the computer screen. I prefer to take notes with pen and paper, or you can use a digital ink tablet like this one. This is one from Supernote. I can then bring the information into OneNote, just copying the PDF over. And another tip is I find profile pictures to be helpful, especially in the beginning as you try to match name to faces. If your colleague has a picture on their team's profile or even on LinkedIn, you can copy those over into your OneNote. Anything to help you remember your new colleagues early on in your interaction will be really good. After my introduction team meetings, each profile might look something like this. And of course, you'd have to organize these profiles depending on where everyone fits in the organization, but that can come later. If you have an organization chart, you can put it on top of your people page so that it's easy to see where people belong, but you don't always have that, so it's fine. For simplicity, I have mine grouped by internal teams versus external teams, and then just have the team members layered in this way. And now, every time you interact with your new colleagues, you may learn additional information about them and what their job functions are, which projects you'll be working with together, etc. They may even volunteer additional personal information as they get to know you better. So you can continue building on this initial info, and the profile will get richer and richer as you have more interactions with them. Knowing more about your colleagues can really help you build relationships faster and see how everyone is connected, even beyond what the organization chart shows. Of course, as you meet with your team members, I find it helpful to prepare some questions in advance to help facilitate the conversation, but always leave the option for the conversation to take a more organic course. And another thing, if you're wondering how I have everyone organized in this nested structure, so for example, for internal teams, I can collapse this down, same for the external teams. What you do is when you create a new page, let's say we have marketing departments, I'm going to type that in here. And I want to add some names underneath. So this is John, Mary. All you have to do is hit Alt-Shift right arrow, and you can nest it twice, or left arrow if you want to bring it back up to the top level. So if you have names or pages nested under a larger page, you have the option to collapse. And if you don't want to use a keyboard shortcut, you can always click and drag to the left or drag to the right. Navigating onboarding in any new organization can be tough. There are many new processes to learn, from clear-cut procedures to complex workflows. The sheer number of training sessions can be really overwhelming. This is why I think it's really important to ask questions, even if things seem simple. This is a perfect time to clarify doubts and build a solid understanding. Remember, pretending to know can really cost you later. It's much easier to ask questions early than struggling silently down the line. So take advantage of this learning period and be curious and build your knowledge with confidence. When learning a new process, I focus on the following. First is purpose. Why does this process exist? How does it benefit the business? Understanding the why helps me grasp the how and ask better questions. Inputs and outputs. What information do I need to start? What result does it produce? Knowing the flow simplifies execution. Be creative with your note-taking. Snag screenshots, take pictures, and draw diagrams. It's faster and often more effective than typing everything out as you're learning a new process. Pro tip, for virtual training, ask to record the meeting. Even for in-person training, ask to join via Teams or Zoom and record the session. This helps me focus on the bigger picture and I can review the details later. After I've captured all the information, I try to review and organize my notes on the same day. And of course, this is all captured in OneNote. This forces me to review the material to ensure that I understand them. And also, it allows me to capture any lingering questions that I can follow up with the trainer. This is what my process notes might look like. In the process section, I can even apply a template based on this custom page to ensure consistency. So for example, every time I capture notes on a process, I want to make sure that I capture the purpose. I want to capture the sources. So these are the inputs into the process. Maybe there's cadence of updates, who I need to partner with. Let's say these are the basic information that I want to ensure I capture on every training. So rather than having to remember this, I can create a template. So how I do this, let's duplicate this page, copy and paste, and get rid of all the details. So I'm just highlighting and deleting. Okay, so let's say this is a template that I want to apply to every page in this process section. So we're in this process section. So what I do is from the top menu, go to insert and then choose page template. And if you hit the drop down, there's an option for page template. I'm going to hit that again. And then at the bottom right here, there's an option to save current page as a template. So I'm going to click on that and I can give it a name. So I'm going to say process template. And then I have the option to set this as a default for template for every new page in this current section. So I'm going to check that box and hit save. Now, whenever I create a new page, so I'm going to hit add page, you can see, well, maybe I should have left this blank, but you can see every new page that I add has this template applied, and now I can just fill in the details. So this saves a lot of time as you go through different training sessions and you want to ensure that you don't miss out any of these key components in the process. And as I mentioned earlier, it really does help to double check your understanding. So whenever possible, I like to review my notes with the trainer to catch any errors or to fill in the missing gaps. This ensures I have everything I need for future reference. When people think of systems in business, they often think of things like POS, CRM, and inventory systems. These are tech systems, but any group of parts working together towards a common goal is a system. There are different types of systems in a business. Organizational culture and power dynamics can be considered a social system. The business units or departments can be considered functional systems. In order for me to understand this new business that I'm in and to ultimately propose improvements in the future, I need to build a solid understanding of the company's internal systems. Oftentimes, different components of a system is captured in my process section. So for example, I have one for lead allocations, sales forecasting. These are processes. But the notes and info that I capture in the system section gives me more of a bird's eye view. So the processes that I just showed you could be part of a sales ops system. This system's goal is for efficient sales processes. Its components include lead generation and order forecasting, as we saw them in the process section. These parts interact through data analysis, tools automation, and reporting, all dependent on information from the sales team and the marketing efforts. So in this section, I'll gradually document my understanding of each system within the business. Think of it as a living library of knowledge, constantly evolving and expanding as I learn more. Initially, each system will have its own dedicated page, and as I gather more information and interact with them, these pages will be enriched with details, insights, and potential improvements. Remember, my understanding starts fresh and may not be perfect at first, but it'll continuously refine through active exploration and interaction. I know this is a lot, but there's one thing that'll help. Be curious. Be curious about the people you'll be working with, be curious about the processes, and be curious about the systems. Embracing curiosity has served me well so far, and I'm excited to see what it unlocks next. Thanks for watching.